mesh, click, shape, polygon, six-sided. I'll hold control now so that all sides and angles are equal. Okay. And it may look a little better for rotation 2 times, but let's go ahead and give it one that I like. We'll try the rotation and mirror. We'll take this and bring it over here. And a lot of people like these to be rotated, so this is the flat is up on top. But I kind of like it with the point on top, so I'm going to leave it. And so that's the dark purple. Nope, not that one. Oh, it's up higher. Okay, that one. So we'll drag that down, set identical params, and I'm running out of purples. So I'll just make it pink. And I hate that color pink though. Just make it a little bit prettier. So if we go into params, oh, I'm not going to be able to move it over because my hoop is not big enough. I can't drag it. Control S, options, settings. Enter, enter, done. Okay. So it's got the same params as this one next to it. So it's just taking the bottom left. That's interesting. That's cute. It's, you know, it's pretty filled in, and you could see that I think that type of symmetry, or not symmetry, but equal angles, equal sides, just a more equal, I don't know if you can call a hexagon equilateral. I don't know why I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but equilateral, I usually think of an equilateral triangle. But it fills it out more. It's almost too small for me though, but it does fill it out more. I mean, it's cute. I'm not exactly crazy about it, so I'd probably go ahead and maybe give it, I don't know, let's just go with 300 overall instead of changing, you know, leaves and all that. Let's just see with something a little bit bigger. Oh, okay, then it can't fill it out as much. Gotcha. Okay. Try 250. $250 might give it, you know, closer to, yeah, closer to this size. I mean, that's cute. That is cute. I have a range of 8. Okay. 75. I mean, these flowers are too small, so I don't know about that range. Let me even go smaller. And then my leaves, I would leave. I thought I was going to show you a center line. These are kind of small, though, to show a center line real well. I'd have to increase my width. Sometimes if you make the width too wide, there's a certain field around each of these. And if you make it too wide, they'll cross into the other one's field. But I'll just try it at, say, 80, and then I'll give it a 16. I'm sorry, I thought I was going to do that to show you. So we've got the leaves. Still doing leaf kind 2, keeping everything the same. But I changed the range to 2. So let's just see if we can get rid of some of those small flowers. That's so interesting that we got that effect. Oh, all our leaves are gone. Probably because we picked a range of 2. I've only got a couple leaves here. And I can barely see the lines. So let's bump that back up. And I guess I could make the flowers bigger. And I guess I'll go to my center line. I'll bump it up to 80. Okay, so we went to range of 6 so that we get more leaves maybe. Because it's interesting, if you keep the range low, it does seem to get rid of the leaves. Oh, is that cute with those stripes? That center line, that is really cute. Really cute. And now you may say, well, what would happen if, wait, what are my leaves? The width is at 80% and I didn't bump into, I do have a little bit of overlap there. A little bit. See, that's what happens when you make the leaf wider. I wish that wouldn't happen. I did report that, but I'm going to go ahead and just see. This is going to change our symmetry. It's going to change the whole design, if you recall from before. I hope I'm thinking about this correctly. My brain, yeah, it does. Okay. Interesting. Totally changed it. And now since this is a equilateral hexagon, we can make this 60 and just see what happens. Because remember, each of these angles is 60. So from here, from this point to this point is a 60-degree line. And maybe, you know what? Wait a minute. Oh, it's not going to be 60. It's going to be 30. Duh. Because we're cutting it in half. Because they go from the horizontal. So from the horizontal, this line would be 30 degrees. We had a horizontal line there and then drew this connecting down here. This angle would be 30 degrees. Anyways, yeah, it would be a 30 degree. So let's try that one. Apply. I really like the center line. Oh, okay. So it did make it different. And remember, we can take this and just turn it. I think it made it different, but it's overlapping. That's such a bummer. Now remember, we went to 250 in scale. Let's go back down to 200. It's interesting that everything got bigger now, bigger than this one. And I might have to make my leaves narrower. The problem is, okay, what are my range is at 6. When the leaves are tiny like this, then you don't see the line. So then this small leaf would kind of get lost. It would just look like a solid. But you have to do something with the width of the leaves. But let's just see at 200%. We have a little bit. A little bit. These got, boy, that's totally different. Interesting. See, you never know what you're going to get. So if I went down to say 60, I don't think that's going to be enough. And what's interesting about this is that if I were to rotate it to get the look that I like, okay, that's not bad. I still have overlap though. That's too bad. I wish that didn't do that. I did write to Sean about the overlap, but so I'd have to go down even more. I don't even know if 50 is going to make it. But if I did rotate this, I would have this point and this point be on vertical. Okay, yeah, I knew it. It wouldn't, it's not enough. So you have to go down maybe even to 30. That's the last one I'll try, and then I'll go ahead and rotate it. I'm not crazy about this gap here though. It's a little different. So it's still kind of banging in there, you know, in there, here, and here. That's about the only place though. I'll just click done. I mean, I guess I could have made the roses smaller, but I don't want them any smaller than that. And so I would take this and I would rotate it. If I rotated it 60 degrees, transformation window, rotate. I want to rotate it that way. Let's just hit apply and see. Oh, shoot. I have to generate it again to see it. It looks right, though. I think I did it right because the point is up at the top. Because, you know, the negative 60, yeah, like that. The negative 60 degrees goes clockwise. So there you go. I mean, I guess they all have that gap there. Not all of them, but remember, this is just a 2 times. When you do the 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, there's less gaps. And you'll see when we get into that. So into 3, if you go into 3D, then if the vector shape is gone, it's kind of hard to see them all though. Okay, so this was the left bottom default, right. This one was left, the bottom left is irregular. And this one is the same irregular one, but we chose the part that wasn't irregular, so it looks just like this one. This is the mirror. It's a vertical mirror here, mirrored over vertically. And this one is a mirror, but it's a horizontal mirror. And this one's just rotated, so this would have to like be flipped vertically for it to look similar to this one. And this is a hexagon that is equilateral, so to speak. So then I'll click each of these red ones, holding Control, and I'll right click and say Show Hide, Hide Selected. And they may, okay, sometimes they don't hide when you're in 3D because you have to generate them and then they'll hide when you're in 3D. So there you go. They're all cute. I still like this one and this one the best. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this whiteboard that you see here. And we'll start with our original hexagon. So this was a regular hexagon. In other words, the sides are equal and the angles are all equal. They're all 60 degrees. And I decided that I was going to try and make my source sector for symmetry on this negative 30-degree line. So this line right here, this gray like bar, is representing negative 30. So it's in relation to the horizontal. So if I have a horizontal, say like that, the right leg of that plus sign, or the horizontal leg of that plus sign, well, negative 30 is what this golden bar represents. It's negative 30 from this horizontal. And so that's what I set this to. And you can see this is my axis of symmetry. It's in the same kind of direction as this line if it were extended, this gray line. And I saw this design and I was like, that is really pretty. And I would like to rotate it so that this point here is up at the top. And I ended up doing that over here with this one. But before I did that, I decided, okay, well, let me see what it would look like with this at the top, these two roses, okay? And I didn't change the source sector to do so, because if I would have changed the source sector, I would have gotten a completely different design. And I'll show you what I mean. What I had to do was just, in order to rotate this and keep the mesh design, what I had to do was use the transformation window, the transformation tool in Studio Next. Let me go to that real quick. Okay, here's the original here. And instead of going into params and changing the sector angle, I just selected the mesh design. Well, I copied and pasted it first, just so you know. And then I guess I will copy and paste it. Control C, Control V. So it's down here. I'll go ahead and just move this one down. I'll hold Control and move it straight down. Okay. And I'll just generate it again just so you can see it's exactly the same. And maybe to differentiate it from the others, you could see it's exactly the same. Maybe I will just make it like a different color. I don't know, just make it green. And so instead of going into params and changing the sector angle, I just went up to transformation window, Control-Alt-T, went to rotate, and let's take this one for instance. So I want these flowers to be up at the top. So that tells me then, let's go back to our design here. These flowers were over here, okay? They weren't symmetrical in relation to this vertex, this point. They were symmetrical halfway between this vertex and this vertex. So even though, yes, each of these angles is 60 degrees, in order to get these up at the top, I don't go the full 60. A full 60 would put this up at the top, you know, this other vertice. This symmetry is halfway between these two. So I'm only going to rotate it 30 degrees counterclockwise. And counterclockwise, rotated 30 degrees counterclockwise is actually positive 30. Okay. And that that to me makes sense, you know, having a math degree. When we look at a unit circle, positive direction is counterclockwise. So that was helpful for me that they stayed within that same, you know, learning field. But if you think about it, okay, the original was at negative 30, okay? If I'm going to rotate it with the transformation window, positive 30, okay? So I'm going to take this bar. I'm not really taking this bar. I'm using the transformation window. That's the key. But I just want you to see how the sector follows whatever I do with the transformation window. So this bar is at negative 30 plus a positive 30 in this direction takes us back to 0. And that makes sense. Negative 30 plus positive 30 is 0. And so even though I just used the transformation window for this rotation and my design didn't change, when I came back to the params for this design, lo and behold, I discovered that Embird moved the sector, the source sector, in relation to how I moved or rotated using the transformation window. It's like it followed me, you know? But like I was saying, if I would have just taken this design, copied and pasted it, came down, pulled this up to 0, like you see here, I get a totally different design. This is what these two, I'm sorry, are in relation to this one. So we'll get to that in a minute. But at any rate, if you want to keep your design, but you want to rotate it, do it using the transformation window, not using the sector, because the sector will give you something completely different. And I'll show you that with when we get to this one. So let's go back. Let's see. No, not that. Show desktop. Okay. Pay no attention to this. This is from my whiteboard. So I took my original, so I'm just going to show you how I get this to look like this. I took my original, copied and pasted it, brought it down here. I generated it just so I could verify, yes, it's exactly the same. And then I decided I wanted these roses up at the top, which means I'm rotating it half of what the angle is in this regular hexagon, the angle being 60, so I'm going to rotate it 30 degrees counterclockwise. So I take this 30 degrees counterclockwise and hit apply. And I have to generate it again, so I'm going to hit this to escape out or to get out of the tool, and then I'll generate, and it should look just like this with the roses up at the top. And there you have it. So it's exactly the same design as this, but the roses are up at the top. Okay. So now let's go to this design, and then we'll work on these two that I will kind of get a little more complicated. So let's go back to the whiteboard. So the whiteboard, you're just going to see these three and these two. Okay. So then I decided on my original that, okay, that's pretty, but I kind of like, let's go back to my original. Instead of having the roses at the top, I kind of like these to be up at the top, you know, which is what you see here. So let's look at this, okay? Well, this axis of symmetry here is going from vertex to vertex, but I want this vertex to be up here. Well, from vertex to vertex, that would mean I'd have to rotate this design 60 degrees, you know, because you're going a full vertex to vertex. So I have to rotate this a full 60 degrees clockwise. So from here, here. And actually, the way I should be showing this rotation, I shouldn't start here, okay, because technically Embird, okay, you can see this is where it starts. So you're basically looking at this point, okay, just so you know. So in other words, I want this vertex to be down here. Same thing as this one being up there, you know, because when this is down here, then this one's up there. But I mean, technically, you know, you're starting here, and I'm going a full 60 degrees. So from here to here is another 60. So, and that's 60 in this direction, which is, it's clockwise, but it's a negative 60. So using the transformation window then, I rotated 60 degrees clockwise, which means I rotated negative 60, giving me a negative 90 for my sector. When I after I rotated, I went into the params window and saw, oh, it says negative 90. It kind of followed my transformation window. Okay. And if you think about it, what it was originally at, it was at negative 30. Well, negative 30 plus a negative 60 is negative 90. And I just thought that was so cool that this sector followed what I did with the transformation window. Okay. I got what I wanted. It's still the same design, and it's still just a mesh object. And, you know, the sector followed. So that's when I decided to try to recreate this, okay, using just a negative 90 for my sector. So what I did was I took the original, okay, I copied and pasted it, and I went into params, and I changed the sector to negative 90, okay, just like this shows. Okay, nothing was changed except that. And when I hit apply, I got a completely different design than this. The params are the same, you know. So then I thought to myself, well, is it because, like, for this design, the start end point, or this design, the start end point was right here. Okay. It was like right here. You know how the start end points are never on the vertice? Embird will make it down here so that you don't have an ugly tie. In this one, I copied and pasted this, brought it over here, and I used the same start end point that this one has, okay? Exactly the same, 7.5 mils away from the vertice. Even though I did that, I still got a completely different design by using this negative 90 that this is showing. It still came up different because I changed the sector. So I had this parameter originally, you know, a negative 30. Okay. I changed the start end point and used negative 90, so now it looks just like this one. Got a completely different design. So the moral of the story is, if you like your design, but you just want it rotated, don't rotate it using the sector. Rotate it using the transformation window. And then you'll keep your design. All right, guys, I know this was a lot, very confusing. And if you don't want to worry about all the math involved and everything like that, you know, and you might lose your mesh design, first of all, remember to just copy and paste it. Second of all, you could always just convert it to outlines. Remember, we always still have that option. So you could always just take your original and do convert, fill mesh, create outlines from mesh, and then rotate that. And that's what I did here, this one. You can see they're all outlines. I'll do it again. I think I did that off camera. So you would take your original, you know, convert, fill mesh, schemato, create outlines from mesh, So when you see the word create, that usually means it creates a whole new object, so you don't have to copy and paste it. So here it is down here. Here's your outlines. I'll grab it and move it over. And then just take those outlines, take a minute for it to select it, and then rotate those. Then you don't have to worry about losing your original design if you make a mistake. You know, that was how I've been doing it. Transformation window. Oh, -60 was there from the last time I did it, because I want this to be up here to look like this one. Apply. Okay, and there it moved. Exit. And there it is. Okay, and it looks just like this one. So I'll just click here. I'll just do Control A and Control 1. Okay, so this one here is outlines. It's this down here. But all these three are all mesh objects. So whatever you feel more comfortable with, you know, go for it. All right, guys. I know this was a lot, but and I hope it helped. And I'll show the last screen one more time, just so you can kind of get it in your head. You can print screen, hit print screen on your keyboard or what have you to kind of realize that to get these two, I had to use the transformation window. Okay, now we're going to move on to more curly plant. We're going to move on to the rotation and mirror of more than just 2 times. And I think we'll be using the base as well in that video. Hopefully we'll get to that. Okay, we'll see you then. Bye.